I went ahead and transferred the image onto my paper, and I already applied some of the white pastel just to give me an idea of where my lights are. You always want to map out your painting from the very beginning, and also refining the drawing, getting some of the nuances, the characteristics of Emma. And it's all about creating a really good picture, but the likeness is super important. So that's kind of what Harvey told me, Harvey Dinnerstein, is look at the model and try and figure out what is it about them that makes them stand out from all the other people in the world. If you can find that, you can get not only the likeness but the character of your model. Eyes, nose, and mouth. The most important part of a portrait in that succession. The eyes, of course, the windows to the soul and the emotion and the state of being of the model, the relationship that the model has from the artist, if there is one, or even the connotation. So the eyes are more important than anything else. Then you have the nose. Then you have the lips. And then, of course, you have to make everything turn and make them three-dimensional. But remember, when you're doing a portrait, there's a succession of importance. And take your time. There is no rush whatsoever when working. Right now, what I am doing is lightening up some of these pencil lines, getting ready for the airbrush. And I always like to come in with the white, which is Createx 50/50 illustration white. And I dilute that 1:1 with water. Sometimes 2:1, but I find 1:1 is really nice. And as you can see, I'm probably about 3 to 4 inches away, maybe a little bit further. Lighter is always best, whether you're coming in with white or India ink, it's always best. You can always put more down, but it's going to be much more difficult to remove. So look how subtle it is. And I'm hitting not the highlights, but the light area. That's going to separate her face from the paper, almost like a bas relief, which is a really nice technique. And the airbrush is perfect for laying down these wispy light applications of this illustration white by Createx. And I am doing my 1 second rule. Looking at the reference for a second, then painting a second. Now that's not, the time interval is not important, but the ratio. So always have your mind in the game by looking first, then painting. It's very important. You'll just be amazed at how more accurate you are, that you are doing it that way. And again, I'm just, maybe about 4 inches away. Nothing too detailed in the beginning, right? It's detail comes later, and we got a lot of detail in the pencil drawing, so we're we're right on target. When applying the white, you want to be super subtle, right? You want to slowly build it up. But when you are working with the white, you want to think about a snowstorm, that there are snow drifts, there are things such as grass as opposed to the street that build up more snow. So think of the light as snow. Uh, the light is coming from a direction just like the snow is, and it builds up whatever is facing that direction more. So kind of think of it that way. It's an abstract way of looking at it, but it helps me, and perhaps it will help you. So just very slowly I'm building up. And you're using white in the same way you would use any color, especially in this technique. It's the closer to the surface, more white going to build up. Further away, it's going to be softer. Several layers, it's going to also build up. And you want to compress those values, meaning you want to save your highlights and darkest darks for the end. And that's what we're doing right now. And it really is successful when you're thinking of it that way, most definitely. And we're just going to continue just to show you how I build this up. And already, we didn't put any ink down, just the paper, the line drawing. And you can see how already we're gaining volume. Of course, we have a lot to do, but if you can start thinking about Emma being a three-dimensional form in space with a light source and trying to make those forms round, you're really going to go far, definitely. Now we build up the white, and you can see as we do that build up the white, all of a sudden she really looks three-dimensional. It's really wonderful that you can create form on gray paper with just white in the airbrush. And you can see how she really comes to life. Subtlety is so important. You'll get there slowly. You don't have to be a cowboy or a cowgirl. You can take your time. See, I'm erasing, so I didn't put any wet airbrush there. I'm kind of getting rid of the pencil line. One thing with airbrush on paper, do not erase it when it's wet. It will haunt you for the rest of your painting. So let it dry before you erase. What I'm doing now is just getting the pencil lines lighter so when I go over with white, it doesn't get trapped underneath. It happens a lot less with the Create Text illustration line because they stay open longer. You can erase, but you always want to keep it as clean as possible, right? No reason to be messy unless that's your style, and if that's your style, I know this video is not going to be for you. And still with that white mixture, just building up the values of the white like the snowstorm, right? And mind you, I'm not doing any highlights. That comes later. We save those highlights for later. And you see I'm erasing, but not where the white was. So that's so important to make sure you don't make that mistake. You make that mistake once and you will never forget. My customized Extreme Patriot Arrow by Badger is an amazing airbrush. It is the workhorse. I can get fine lines like a custom micron, and it has a .30 nozzle, so I could sketch with it. I can get broad strokes, background. So there's a link in the description for this airbrush if you're interested. I customize it myself, and I also test it for 3 hours, and it is just an amazing, amazing airbrush. I don't use anything else. It's almost like sculpting with the white. You feel a very, not sculptural, but a very round feeling of her jawbone, of her nose, of the fat compartments in her face. And that's what you can do with white. And making it round this early in the stage of the portrait, it's really going to go far to create a piece that just kind of really grabs your attention from across the room, and that's what we want. So it starts in the very beginning of making it a very sculptural painting. So this is the end of part 1, and we're going to come in with the India ink in part 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also in the description there's a lot of really cool things. You can purchase my airbrush, you could purchase, you can take one of my online courses and find out information about the mentorship program. So take care, and I will see you soon.